Okay, trying this again. I have to tell you that I am not happy with the way of your participation. I posted under the discussion board and I posted in announcements and I kept reminding you that in order to get your participation points, and not only that, you have to do something. You have to submit assignments. You have to ask questions on the discussion board. You have to email me, you have to communicate with me, or submit assignments on time. I'm also making, I did twice Saturday sessions, nobody showed up. So I discontinued them because obviously that's not an option for you. So I'm doing all that I can considering. So on your side, though, it is not enough what you're doing. And I looked at the activities of some of you, and some of you spent like 2 minutes while you should be spending 6 hours. So please adjust. And I also said to check daily for announcements or email uh, to be in the loop, but a lot of you obviously are not. So please start submitting assignments because this is your attendance. You're not going to class. The class is asynchronous, so you have to do something. The inactivity may result in dropping you because it's like the same like not attending class. So please adjust to that and start submitting assignments. Meantime, I just want to tell you what to expect from the midterm and be prepared. A lot of you are not reading my announcements, not watching the videos. There's certain things that I repeated several times, and because I anticipated those mistakes, I know what is happening. And regardless, some of you made those mistakes. Although I have them in videos, I have them in announcement, not to do this or this. So please start studying. Start watching videos, mine or other people that I posted, PowerPoints. You have a textbook where you can read. You have Khan Academy. You have tons of resources. Just use them and learn. And of course, you can always email me. I unfortunately do not know when I'm available. It's a roller coaster. During the week, from Monday to Friday, I might have to get prescriptions. I might have doctor's appointment. I might have phone appointment. It is really a roller coaster. So just be a little bit considerate and start studying and participating. Please, I am begging you, so you can get your grades. With that said, week one, you have this what I call cheat sheet, and that's what the name is. Um, that it's very important. I don't know how many of you even notice it, but this is something that you absolutely need. Of course, you need other stuff like the trig values tables that you did week two. Um, you need other formula, but let's go over the cheat sheet because the majority is there. What is not there is how to find complementary, supplementary angles, and coterminal angles. So please learn the definitions, see how you find those three because you're gonna have that on the midterm. Some of you are still, although I emphasize that several times as well, that if the problem is given in radians, you have to work in radians. You have no choice. And if it's given in degrees, then your answer should be in degrees. Some of you are still converting to degrees and giving me answers in degrees, although the problem is given in radians. No, you have to learn to work in radians, period. Because your midterm has a lot of questions like that that are in radians. So what you need to know again is how to find complementary, supplementary, and coterminal angles in radians and in degrees. Then you need to know the special triangles 30, 60, 90 and 45, 45, 90. We studied that in geometry, so I don't see a problem there. Another type of problems that you're going to see, of course, is solving the right triangle, and most of those problems are going to be word problems. I gave you links also to solved word problems so you can review them. Khan Academy also has some examples, so review those as well. Now, the the other questions that you might have concern the Pythagorean theorem. Also, I don't anticipate any problem there. Of course, there's some special problems that I don't want to say what they are because I want to see how you're going to approach them. But that's the majority. Finding supplementary, complementary, coterminal angles, um, then solving right triangles either with word problems or just solving it. Finding inverse trig functions, in other words, the value of the tangent, let's say it's given, and they ask you about the angle, so you have to use inverse tangent. Now, please do not mix reciprocal with inverse. Sometimes the inverse tangent, for example, it's called arctangent. So you put ARC in front, or arc cotangent, or arc cosine. This means the same like when you write tangent to the -1. It's not really to the -1. It's just a symbol that means inverse tangent. Arctangent, that's kind of archaic way to do it, but it's still used. So arctangent is the inverse of tangent. Learn how to do this on a calculator because when it comes to the inverse trig functions, you cannot do it by hand. Uh, Otherwise, you will have to leave answers either in radicals or in fractions. You cannot use decimals in trigonometry unless it's a word problem. There you don't have a choice. Otherwise, for the special angles, you have to use radicals and fractions. I keep repeating that, and some of you still on the homework did decimals. Okay, so let's finally look at that cheat sheet. On the left side here, you have, just in case you forgot the SOHCAHTOA, you have the definitions here of sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. There are 6 basic trig functions. Notice that the adjacent and the opposite are in relation to the angle. You have to first have the angle in trigonometry. The angle is the most important thing for you. Now, on the right side here, you have the unit circle definition. Some of you might have ignored that. It is somewhere in the PowerPoint. I know it's a little hidden there. But this on the right side is the unit circle definition of the trig functions. I'll come back to that unit circle later on. Now, here not yet. Here though on the left side, so don't look at the right side. We're not even going to study what it's on the right side. But on the left side, you have the so-called reciprocal identities, which you will need to know. And when I say you need to know, you know where to find them and be familiar with it. Then you have the Pythagorean identities, and then you have the even and the odd functions. So the only function that it's even is the cosine. L, of course, from there is the secant, because the secant is 1 over cosine, or the cosine is 1 over secant. So, of course, the secant also is going to be even. All the other functions are odd. We're not at periods yet, but yeah, you need those. You need the reciprocal, Pythagorean, and even odd. The rest for now you forget. Here it's something like the conversion. Yeah, you will need to also know how to convert from degree to radians and from radians to degrees. That's part of the midterm as well. Now this is the unit circle right here that I mentioned. This is a way to find trig functions. So basically, let's say they ask you to find sine of 120. Let's say sine of 120. So you go around the unit circle and you find where 120 is. Then you look at that pair here. The first function is the cosine, the value of the cosine. The second one is the value of the sine. So if you are asked to find sine of 120, you have to look at the second coordinate. So sine of 120 is root 3 over 2. Let's say you are to find cosine of 180. So you find 180 first, where it is, and then the cosine is going to be the first number from that pair. It is very convenient. It's easy to use the unit circle because the values are there. Let's say you have to find cosine of 4 pi over 3. So again, you're going to go around and you're going to find 4 pi over 3. Cosine means the first coordinate, so cosine of 4 pi over 3 is negative 1/2. Let's say you're looking for sine of 7 pi over 4. Again, you find the 7 pi over 4 here, and if it is the cosine, although, they're equal in value, but notice the sign is a different. In each quadrant, the values are going to repeat, but the signs are going to be different. So the cosine is going to be root 2 over 2, and the sine is going to be negative root 2 over 2 if you're finding for 7 pi over 4. So learn how to go around the unit circle, how to use it. It's much easier than just having the value in a table, which you also have. But you need to know how to find the values of the trig functions. Well, you can find just cosine and sine, and then you can use the reciprocal identities or any other identities to find the other functions. The question could be backwards. The question could say, if the sine, let's say, is 1/2 and the cosine is root 3 over 2, what is the angle? So if you go around, you're going to find right here that root 3 over 2, the cosine, and 1/2 the sine is at pi over 6. All the other are going to have those values, but they're going to be with minuses, or 1 minus, 1 plus. Only in first quadrant, both values are positive. Okay, so that's about the time I have. This is pretty much everything that is going to be on the midterm. And I showed you how to use the unit circle. Hopefully that's enough.